Hello and welcome to the James Bond Countdown, the series where I, a lifelong 007 fan, bring you ranked lists pertaining to every last aspect of the James Bond film franchise. Today I'm ranking what I think is actually something of an overlooked trope of the franchise. Most of them are spoken, some of them are written, most films have them, but some films don't. I am talking about title drops. Yes, that magical moment when the title of the movie makes a cameo appearance in either spoken or written form. There are some instances where the title appears multiple times throughout a given film, so I am counting the title drop strictly as the first time it shows up. A lot of Bond fans might call these moments cringy, and I'll admit that some are more organic than others, but to be honest, I even enjoy the ones that maybe feel a little forced. What I don't enjoy are the ones that lack any pomp and circumstance. It kind of feels like a missed opportunity when a character just casually says the title of the movie in passing.
Or a Goldfinger. Sounds like a French nail varnish.
Oh yes, the man with the golden gun.
And what happened to the Moonraker?
But for all the missed opportunities, there have been just as many moments to give the title drop a thoughtful and dramatic delivery. So let's talk about them. This is a top 10. Kicking things off is none other than the very first title drop, Dr. No. The thing I love about this one isn't so much the title drop itself as it is the build-up to it. You've got this sort of assassination montage with two murders in quick succession, followed by a crude heist that quickly establishes the mystery of the whole movie. Who is Dr. No? And the answer right from the start is that he's obviously someone very dangerous. This title drop is just the start of how the movie brilliantly builds to the arrival of its villain. All the little teases that they drop throughout the story compensate for how little screen time Dr. No actually has, giving him an ominous presence even when he isn't actually, well, present. And while I'm on the subject, I also want to give credit to the first time the title is spoken in the movie. It has a similar build-up with the conversation alluding to Dr. No before Felix finally names him.
What else do we know about this Chinese gentleman?
Nothing much, except his name. Dr. No.
Codename? Thunderball.
I think Thunderball is the first time they purposefully tried to draw attention to the title drop and really make a moment of it. I've always loved this scene because it's the only time in the whole franchise that you get to see all 9 00 agents at once. I know the books featured even more than that, but the movies have only ever mentioned up to 9, and I really like the idea that the 00 section is just a small unit of only the most elite agents. And the concept of this mission being so important that all 9 of them are assigned to it really imbues the title drop with a strong sense of stakes. I feel like having the title of the movie actually be the codename for Bond's mission is the ultimate way to work in a title drop. Certainly the most organic. The one thing that keeps this drop from ranking higher for me is the way M emphasizes ball.
Thunderball.
It almost sounds like he's thinking, oh god, is that really what we're calling this mission?
Operation Undertow. The information's all here. Now, Gonzalez is at a villa near Madrid. Isolate him and apply the necessary pressure to find out who hired him.
Next up is another written one, and easily one of the more blatant title drops. But while it might be blatant, it's also just as organic as Thunderball's. It makes perfect sense that Bond's mission briefings would be marked for your eyes only. Now, maybe it didn't need to be in quite such a large font, but Roger Moore was getting older by this point, so maybe Bond's eyesight wasn't what it used to be. That being said, I still love the individual shot of Bond taking the folder. It has a confident self-awareness that makes for a classic movie moment.
I'm reporting to M that you deliberately missed. Your orders were to kill that sniper.
Stuff my orders. I only kill professionals. The girl didn't know one end of a rifle from the other. Go ahead, tell him what you want. If he fires me, I'll thank him for it. Whoever she was must have scared the living daylights out of her.
I love that Timothy Dalton got to deliver a title drop right at the start of his tenure, particularly one this cool. The whole sniper scene is undoubtedly one of the highlights of the movie. It features so many moments and lines lifted straight from Fleming, and the fact that it culminates with a title drop is the icing on the cake. I love how the camera pushes in on Dalton, and the look on his face is perfect. That devilish, boyish grin really taps into Bond's morbid sense of humor in the face of danger. I'll admit that there is an inherent camp to the moment, almost as if it should be accompanied by a musical flourish.
Whoever she was must have scared the living daylights out of her.
But that doesn't stop the living daylights from being one of my absolute favorite title drops.
Take her to Renard. Pretty thing. You had her too? I could have given you the world.
The world is not enough.
Foolish sentiment.
Family motto.
The title drops of the Brosnan era tend to get a lot of flack, and I've never understood why, particularly because he really has titles that demand to be dropped. And I think The World Is Not Enough is a prime example of that. The phrase has such great history in Bond lore, and I love that we get a little bit of that context when Elektra questions Bond's use of the expression.
Foolish sentiment.
Family motto.
Overall, this is just such a wonderful exchange. The two of them snapping at each other like scorned lovers sets a great dramatic tone for the title drop, rather than the gimmicky one you might expect. And I love Brosnan's understated delivery of the line itself. It makes it feel like a spontaneous thought rather than a rehearsed one-liner. This is how you drop a title.
Miss Moneypenny, ask 007 to leave the photograph. I'm sure he'll recognize the lady when he sees her.
Good luck.
Ciao.
Ciao.
My favorite written title drop is easily From Russia with Love. It's such a subtle, tongue-in-cheek insert shot that almost makes this more of an Easter egg than a full-fledged title drop. I love how it's almost a fake-out at first, with Bond initially just writing with love, but then he gets the cheeky idea to add From Russia, if for no other reason than his own amusement. And Moneypenny's, of course. I also love how the Bond theme quietly starts building before blaring at the reveal of the title. It really helps make this not only a memorable title drop, but also an all-around signature Bond moment.
So you live to die another day. Colonel.
At last. I was beginning to think you'd never guess.
It's become quite fashionable to make fun of Die Another Day, but in spite of how messy the overall movie is, it does have more than a few individual elements that rank quite highly for me, and this is one of them. Similar to The World Is Not Enough, I love how casual and understated Brosnan's delivery is here. He's not winking at the camera, which is a trap it would have been all too easy to fall into, especially in this movie. Instead, he makes it sound cold and fateful, with the conviction of a man who's out for blood. And I love that David Arnold punctuated it with that subtle percussion hit in the score.
Colonel.
At last.
For me, this is a title drop that oozes cool, and it's certainly a diamond in the rough as far as the movie is concerned.
Sunlight.
Swim.
Moonlight.
Dance.
Murder.
Employment.
Country.
England.
Skyfall. Skyfall.
Done.
Skyfall was really the only film of the Craig era to get a truly worthy title drop. So perhaps it's fitting that it's also one of the most prominent in the whole series. Right from the first teaser trailer, the entire movie was sort of marketed around the title drop. More so than any other Bond film, I think this title really did function like a MacGuffin. I remember there being so much speculation about what it meant. Was it referring to Bond's literal fall at the start of the movie? Was it the codename of a mission gone wrong? All we knew was that the mere mention of it seemed to actually scare Bond. The build-up to it is so quiet, and Bond's response to it is so nuanced, both of which really allow the scene to breathe in a way that's not afforded to other title drops. And that's what this moment does so beautifully. It gives the title drop a dramatic narrative purpose rather than shoehorning it in as a glorified Easter egg.
What a view.
To a kill.
Speaking of shoehorning it in, there is perhaps no title drop that does so more blatantly than A View to a Kill. But guess what? I do not care. I fully acknowledge how ham-fisted this moment is, but I just love the double delivery from Grace Jones and Christopher Walken. It's always so cool when the villains deliver the title drop, because even in the most serious of films, they have the latitude to camp it up a little bit. Their sinister theatricality inherently makes them the most well-suited to deliver title drops. And considering Max Zorin is right at the top of my favorite villains, I guess it's no surprise that I rank this one so highly. I particularly love the way that Walken whispers "kill" and then follows it up with that subtle nod of devilish delight. I actually find it to be a very chilling delivery. So never mind the mental gymnastics you have to do in order for the phrase to even make sense, and just relish in the madness of these exquisitely evil lovebirds.
Remove his helmet. James Bond, allow me to introduce myself. I am Ernst Stavro Blofeld. They told me you were assassinated in Hong Kong.
Yes, this is my second life.
You only live twice, Mr. Bond.
Sticking with the villain motif, the only title drop that could take the #1 spot in my mind is You Only Live Twice. I absolutely adore this title, and the delivery of it by Donald Pleasence is so pitch perfect. This is the ultimate example of why title drops are best delivered by villains. The pregnant pause as Blofeld moves Hans to the side, followed by the nefarious grin creeping across his face while the words slither out of his mouth. And as if that wasn't awesome enough, the title drop comes right on the heels of the villain introducing himself for the very first time. And it wasn't just any villain, it was the villain, the arch nemesis that 3 out of the 4 previous films had been teasing up to that point. The only thing that would make this moment more epic than it already is would be if Connery had cared enough to play it with a sense of revelation, considering this is the guy he's been fighting for the past several years. But not even Connery's boredom can drag down this title drop. A classically creepy performance by Donald Pleasence combined with the atmosphere of the moment delivers nothing less than the gold standard. Well, there you have it, my top 10 favorite title drops. Please be sure to jump down into the comments and share your personal favorites, or least favorites. I'd love to know if you find these moments cool or cringy. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss a countdown.